Hey, the weather in Columbus has been pretty crappy for a while, but we've had this little warming trend, and it's gorgeous out today. I don't know if you can see. I'll spare you my shorts. I'm wearing shorts, a little jacket, uh, and I thought, let's go on the bike and restock on some produce. So here is the urban shopping machine. Beautiful day to be out. Look at all of these colors. So this is the typical arrangement you can see, and but this is my favorite intersection near my house because we have the two radicals. And here's one house, and here's the other house, and you can see what they've done. These guys are running basically wildlife sanctuaries on their lot, and look at this beautiful forest trying to grow back here. So one of the problems of riding your bike for transit is it's too much fun, and it's too easy to stop and get distracted with whatever little bits of nature have somehow managed to survive the destruction of Western civilization. So, if I was just rushing in a car, this whole shopping trip would be, I don't know, half hour max. And I think I've blown a half hour now. I'm almost there, but screw it. Well, here I am back at Whole Foods. Oddly, their organic produce is cheaper in general than pretty much any other place in town that sells it. It's close to my apartment, so anyway. So I'm going to grab a cart here, and I'm going to hook my little basket right on the front so it won't be in the way when I'm doing my produce. You'll see how I pack it in the end. A lot of variation on the freshness from bag to bag, so I try to look closely and get a guess of whether they're good or whether they're kind of on the way out, because I kind of hate eating rotten grapes. Celery can be kind of challenging. Look at this one. See how skinny and green the stalks are in that? That's going to be bitter, and I don't like bitter celery. So this one looks a lot better. If you just see the color, it's much lighter and fresher looking, even though it's probably older, but somehow the longer they grow, the less bitter they get. Basically, tomato season is over. This is all we got left. And these are okay. If you're careful and let them ripen on the counter a lot, it almost tastes like a tomato. I almost made the mistake of just dumping that whole box into my bag. You gotta really pick Roma tomatoes individually because they tend to go bad. I don't know why. They're cheaper than almost every other kind of tomato, but they go bad. So you really got to look. Like, see this one here? That one's going to go bad in a couple days, so forget it. This one's good. And I learned how to pick. When I think the word is select. I've also picked produce from the vine, but selecting produce at a grocery store, there's an art to it. I learned a lot from my mom. She was a real produce fan. And probably the most valuable time that we spent was her taking me to the grocery store, teaching me how to pick ripe, fresh produce, and what's good and what's going to taste good. Because if you spend a ton of money on produce, it doesn't taste good. It's like, well, then it just feels like a whole waste. Here's something called Buddha's hand. Buddha is priced out of my league for today. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to buy a pumpkin and see if I can make pumpkin curry. I'm already starting to run out of room in my cart, and I'll just throw this in here for now. And now onto the mangoes, my favorite section. They're coming in kind of greenish, unfortunately. I mean, in some ways that's good, but like this hard as a rock. And I tend to look for ones that have some hope of getting ripe because they're picked so green. So like here's one This one looks, you can see it wants to get right. Oh, look at that one. This one is definitely going to ripen up. Oh, it's got a huge dent. I don't know. I think I'm going to let that one go. Looks like some animals living in there. Here's another one. This has got some yellow and red. There's hope. We'll see. It'll take 1 or 2 weeks for this to get ready to eat. Now here is organic pineapple. Really, my experience with organic pineapple has almost universally been, I don't know, pretty bad. Because why? Because here's the non-organic. I guess they're just growing at higher volume. And you know, if you were in Asia, you get something that's really yellow on the outside. This is what's got the beginning, but this is not organic. So I literally hunt through the whole pile, and if I see one, this one I think there's some hope. It's got a lot of nice, look at all that yellow. And this could take a week or two to get to the point where it's ripe enough to be edible. And I'll actually turn it upside down and set it on the counter in a corner. And by turning it upside down, the juicy, the sweet part tends to drip down to the other part. I mean, somebody told me that works. Obviously, it's pretty hard to do a double-blind test of that. And of course, we're in the banana section. So I'm not looking for bananas that are ripe right now. I'm looking for something that's going to get there. And look how yellow this one is. I don't know if you can see that, but this one here is so much more yellow than that. And yellow means it's going to get nice and sweet when it's ripe. None of these are ripe enough to eat today, which is cool. But that's why you got to buy them in advance. And here's another. So what have we got here about, I don't know. That's about 14 bananas, and I would probably buy more, but there's just not enough room. I'm not sure I'll be able to get all this home. So I think that's probably the end of this trip on the bike, at least, in terms of what I can acquire. Let's see if it fits. So I'm walking toward the checkout, and I saw some things that I already did a video on. You know, there's no moral compass, there's no ethical compass at Whole Foods. Let's just face it. There is good quality food to be had here, and sometimes at a price less than the conventional stores that still sell organic. So, you know, that's sort of the highlight. But right there in the produce department is someone giving away free samples of salad. It looks very tempting, but what's in it? Bacon and feta cheese. And I try to be nice, but it's like, that's poison. You know, it is poison. And, but let's face it, the people here, they want a job. It's like, they're not gonna like have a revolution and say, hey, you know, no, you know, we're not gonna stock it, you know, have a sit-down strike. I mean, then what are they gonna do? So, you know, part of your job of being a vegan is also creating an economy around yourself that lets you have the freedom from pushing other people's shit to make a buck. That's in a lot of ways harder than just going vegan, right? Going vegan just means picking some food at the grocery store and eating enough carbohydrates, but making a living in this culture, I'll show you how to do that. That's coming soon. All right, this is my haul on the belt. All fruits and vegetables, 100%, including this piece of ginger. Sorry about the plastic bags. I'll fix that next video. You know, I was kind of thinking this poor girl, you know, pushing the salad with the bacon and feta, and you know, I didn't let her have it, but I did say, you know, did you know this stuff is poison? Now, I don't actually feel good about that interaction. Somebody has to educate somebody like that, and yet, what's the right way? You know, and there's a lot of discussion about this kind of, you know, I'm not that kind of activist exactly, but I just, when I think of so much of my life wasted, it's hard to not want to react and not just like come up with a real solution that really educates people. And I'm going to sidetrack right into this because I once read an article about, most of you guys who are watching this, you got to have a computer, right? You got a phone. And these phones run on chips. And those chips were originally invented by a company called Intel. They were the king of the chips. Maybe they didn't invent them, but they definitely, Intel was the chip company. And when the personal computer was coming out, Intel spent $100 million just to educate the citizens of the United States. So 300 million total, maybe 100 million niche market. Basically, they spent $1 a piece to educate their market slice. What is a chip? Because who knew what a chip was? If you, I grew up in there when you plugged phone into the wall and you had this little dial thing. You go like this. I'm from the Stone Age. So they had to spend $100 million to educate people what is a chip. Now, in 2000, last time I looked at these numbers, $100 million was the total budget of the World Wildlife Fund for everything. Now, so what's the right way to educate people? You need to have hundreds of millions of dollars to teach culture at scale, or some correlated impact. And I think this is really one reason that YouTube is a great opportunity, still is a great opportunity, because at least we can reach people basically, for the cost of production. And my production setup is an iPhone. So there you go. Pretty much universally, everyone has a smartphone in the United States now. So we do have the opportunity to get some parity on the education forefront compared to having to, pay retail for that. That $100 million per 100 million educated number is a good rule of thumb. Can we optimize that to some degree? Yes, if everyone gets involved and helps. And now, does it really help if I tell this poor girl who's making $10 an hour or less that she's peddling poison? Ugh. Anyway. But she is. Somebody needs to tell her. Somebody please figure this out. How to get this across nicely on the spot. I work on the big picture. How do we get the mass education? But when it comes to one-on-one, I'm still kind of a clumsy dork about expressing myself in that way. So that's why I don't do much of that. I'll leave that to those good-looking guys who've made an art of, on-the-spot conversion. Okay, let's start loading this thing up. So, the reason I don't get a giant trailer is because I don't want to waste the food. And in the last video, you saw my tiny kitchen. So the art here is we're going to pack the harder things on the bottom. We're going to put some vertical things going up. So, and then probably it's not all going to fit. Well, I reorganized a little bit and I got everything except the pumpkin in the basket. We'll put that in as a matter of art here. And so pretty, One of the cool outcomes when you live this way, people ask you stuff. I was shooting out at a table, packing. Some guy wanted to know, where did I get my selfie stick? What do I do? And now he's going to go look at my YouTube channel. And some other people buying mangoes, and we got to talk about how you get a good mango. And just, you got to be into the silliness a little bit, otherwise it's just, too serious, or you're just rushing around like everybody else, right? Rushing is not normal. Rushing is part of the overall disease. Enjoying is the point of being alive. What is the point of rushing? Figure it out, people. Well, as I was riding out of the lot, I saw this. Here's a Tesla plugged into the Whole Foods electricity pump. And, you know, there's a certain beauty of this. And, you know, my last comment about rushing, how can a guy like Elon Musk run 2 or 3 or 4 companies, and the rest of us, you know, it's like, oh, you know, rushing here, rushing there. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. I'm not saying he doesn't even rush. But I'm going to do a video about Elon Musk and what we vegans can learn from him about solving large-scale problems. This is amazing. I, you know, never thought I'd see a viable electric car even in my lifetime. And I don't think we would be seeing it if it weren't for something he did. And that something he did is something that we can do for our dreams. It works. It works. Oh! Some guy tried to run into me. Well, I made it home and all the fruit is still there.